The sun was setting behind the endless golden fields when a sleek black Mercedes rolled to a sudden stop on a dusty country road. Smoke curled from under the hood, and the woman inside, dressed in a crisp white blazer and diamond earrings, slammed her hands against the steering wheel in frustration. Her name was Evelyn Ross, a millionaire entrepreneur known for her luxury brand empire. But right now, she was stranded in the middle of nowhere with no signal, no mechanic, and no patience, of course, she muttered under her breath. The one time I drive myself, this happens. The countryside was eerily quiet, except for the distant hum of crickets and the rustle of wind through the tall wheat. Then, from across the field, she saw a man walking toward her. He wore faded jeans, a dirt-stained shirt, and carried a small metal toolbox. His steps were calm, his eyes kind but guarded. That was Liam Carter, a poor farmer whose land stretched miles across the valley. A man who'd seen more hardship than most, but carried himself with quiet dignity. "Car trouble, ma'am?" he asked, his deep voice cutting through the still air. Evelyn hesitated. She wasn't used to asking anyone for help, especially someone who looked like he barely had enough to get by. But pride wasn't going to fix her engine. "Yes, it just stopped. Do you know anything about cars?" Liam gave a small, crooked smile. "A bit, old trucks mostly, but an engine's an engine." He lifted the hood without waiting for her permission and got to work. Within minutes, his hands were black with grease, his forehead damp with sweat. Evelyn watched, awkwardly clutching her designer purse, feeling strangely out of place. As he worked, she noticed how careful he was, how deliberate his movements seemed. "You do this often?" she asked. He chuckled softly. "Fixing broken things? Yeah, comes with the life I've got." There was something in the way he said it, like the words held a lifetime of stories. Within 20 minutes, the car roared back to life. Evelyn exhaled in relief. "Thank you," she said quickly, reaching into her purse and pulling out a few crisp $100 bills. "Here, take this." Liam looked at the money, then back at her. "No need, ma'am. I just did what anyone would." "Anyone?" she repeated, half smiling. "I doubt it." But he refused the money, tipping his hat slightly. "You have a safe drive now." And just like that, he turned and began walking back to his field. Evelyn sat there for a moment, engine running, her chest tightening in a way she didn't understand. She'd spent years surrounded by people who only helped her for a reason. Investors, clients, assistants. But this man, who had nothing, had asked for nothing in return. She watched his figure shrink into the amber horizon, then suddenly, something in her shifted. She put the car in park, grabbed her purse, and stepped out. "Wait!" she called. He turned, surprised. "I can't just drive away after what you did," she said, walking toward him. "At least let me thank you properly." Liam hesitated, but finally nodded. "I was just heading home. You're welcome to stop by for some coffee. But it's nothing fancy." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Fancy doesn't matter." That night, she followed his old pickup truck down a winding dirt road until they reached a small farmhouse, paint peeling, porch lights flickering, but somehow full of warmth. His daughter, Lily, about 8 years old, came running out barefoot, laughing as she jumped into her father's arms. Evelyn's heart softened instantly. They sat at a small wooden table, sipping coffee in chipped mugs. Evelyn couldn't help noticing how little they had, yet how peaceful they seemed. Lily talked about school, about her dreams of being a vet, and Evelyn listened, genuinely smiling for the first time in months. As she left later that night, Evelyn glanced at the fields illuminated by the moonlight. Something about that humble home made her feel more alive than her entire penthouse ever had. She didn't know it yet, but this chance encounter was about to change both their lives forever. Chapter 2. A week later, Evelyn couldn't stop thinking about that farmer and his daughter. Something kept pulling her back, not out of guilt, but curiosity, even admiration. The world she lived in was sharp and shallow. People smiled to your face and counted your money behind your back. But Liam's world, it was real. One morning, she drove back to his farm with groceries, tools, and supplies in her trunk. When she arrived, Liam was repairing a broken fence while Lily chased chickens around the yard. "You again," he said, half smiling, wiping his brow. "Did your car break down twice?" "Not this time," she said, smiling. "I just thought I'd return the favor." He frowned. "You don't owe me anything." "Maybe not," she said softly, "but maybe I want to." Over the next few days, Evelyn visited often, helping Lily with her homework, learning about the farm, and even helping with chores she never imagined herself doing. The more time she spent there, the more she felt the emptiness of her former life fade away. but not everyone understood. When photos of her helping on a farm leaked online, her company board was furious. Investors questioned her sanity. "You're risking your image," they told her. A millionaire living like a peasant. It's bad press. Evelyn stood firm. "Maybe the problem isn't where I'm standing. Maybe it's what all of you are standing for." Her words went viral. People saw her humility, her humanity, and soon the public adored her even more, not for her money, but for her heart. Back at the farm, Liam struggled to understand why she kept coming. "You don't belong here," he said one evening, his voice low. "You've got a whole world waiting for you." She looked at him for a long time. "Maybe I don't belong there anymore." Silence filled the air as the stars began to emerge above them. Lily was asleep inside, and the soft hum of crickets surrounded them. Evelyn stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "You fixed more than my car that day, Liam. You fixed something I didn't even know was broken." Liam's rough hands trembled slightly as he met her eyes. "And you? You brought light to a place I'd forgotten could feel warm again." Months passed. Together, they rebuilt his old barn, turned it into a community space where farmers could sell produce directly, where kids could learn, and families could gather. Evelyn used her influence to help, but she did it quietly, never taking credit. She had found something money could never buy: purpose. Years later, standing on that same dusty road where it all began, Evelyn and Liam watched their daughter, Lily now grown, drive off to college. The same road that once separated two different worlds had become the bridge between them. Evelyn smiled, her hand finding Liam's. "Funny how life breaks down just to make you stop long enough to see what really matters." Liam nodded, eyes shining with quiet pride. Guess some engines were meant to stop, so hearts could start again. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the once-lost millionaire and the humble farmer stood side by side, proof that sometimes the richest hearts are found in the poorest places.